Chairperson, Director General, distinguished delegates, civil society colleagues. Since the course of the First World War, tens of thousands have been killed by exposure to chemical weapons, and thousands of survivors are still suffering from the consequences of using such unconventional weapons. Chemical weapons victims' long-term health effects are extremely painful, but at the same time a hidden suffering. If a person is a spinal cord injury or limb amputation survivor, people can better understand their suffering. But people normally do not grasp the agony of chemical weapons victims unless they suddenly cough, at which point people will notice his lung difficulties. According to recent clinical studies, female survivors need more support than men, especially psychological support, as they are more vulnerable to oppression and strict social expectations. The cultural expectations for married women made recovery even more difficult for female survivors. In addition, the network for male victims is vast and supportive, but very few support outlets exist for women. Tradition expects women to have the important role of keeping the family together, educating their children, cooking, shopping, and cleaning. As a gas attack victim, these were things that they do not have the strength to do. Chairperson, in view of this, we urge OPCW and the international community to establish a community that connects the victims with the specialized centers to treat cases that have not been treated so far, and that requires psychological and educational treatment and a statement of rights and the duties of the competent authorities to follow up on the cases to which the victims is exposed. Moreover, encourage CWC state parties, individuals, and organizations to contribute to the trust fund for the chemical weapons victims so that the Technical Secretariat can conduct more activities under the auspices of the International Support Network for Chemical Weapons Victims. We also call on the OPCW Technical Secretariat to plan and conduct further activities and projects in line with the CSV decisions for the establishment of the International Support Network for Chemical Weapons Victims, including organizing the second symposium on treatment of chemical weapons victims, challenges and hopes, following the successful experience of the first symposium in 2018, and in line with the recommendations set out in the symposium declaration, which is available on the OPCW website. To follow the recommendations of the first OPCW Medical Symposium declaration, which was suggested by the world medical experts regarding the health priorities and needs of chemical weapons victims. To support establishing rehabilitation centers in certain state parties for the victims of chemical weapons, especially in areas where few centers currently exist, and developing protocols for rehabilitation. Supporting a number of victims assistance projects proposed by NGOs and institutions who are active in the field of providing medical or psychological support for chemical weapons victims. Conducting more awareness programs regarding the consequences of the use of chemical weapons in the past, including posting more information, testimonies, eyewitness accounts, oral history on the victim page of the OPCW website and on other social media. To support all chemical weapons victims against the sanction on medicine due to the lack of access to some vital medication as a result of unilateral sanctions against certain state parties. Chemical weapons victims suffer from a range of psychological problems, including post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic depression. Accordingly, we recommend the following: to appoint a group of experts through the Scientific Advisory Group or other independent experts to establish a working group on chemical weapons victims' psychosocial needs and develop a guideline for their health care providers. Raise awareness within the families of victims of the problems faced by the victims when they are reintegrating into their families and networks. Chairperson, We must do more to better understand and respond to the unique needs of all chemical weapons victims. Therefore, civil society stands ready to collaborate with you to improve the lives of people who have suffered so heinously. We thank you for your kind attention and request this statement be made part of the official published proceeding of this conference. Thank you.